Hello.
Hello, how are you?
Doing good.
Hey, Kirsten.
Hi, Lydia.
Hi, Lydia.
Hi, hey, can everyone hear me?
Yes.
Yeah, we hear you.
Okay. I'm in my car. I've never done this before, so not in the car.
Yeah, we can hear you.
How is everyone?
Doing good. Ready for holidays.
Yep, excited for Thanksgiving on my end.
No, we're still waiting for some people from the Crafton Planning Commission. But it's a little weird, it seems, that this joint meeting was the week of Thanksgiving, so close to the holiday. I had to double check to make sure that was right.
Yeah, I think
Yeah, I
it's
think
just
we said it a year ago.
the way it fell.
Mhm.
I know Colton can't come tonight. I don't know. Is on your side, Greg, is Jim planning to come?
I don't know if he is or not, to be honest.
Okay.
I hope he is.
We were going to start with the Ingram Borough updates because that's just usually what we do, but would you rather we reorder that? Until
Yeah,
you're
if you give him maybe a couple minutes, sure.
okay. We'll still wait a little bit for some of the others to join, but once we do get started, we can reorder the agenda a little bit so you have a bit more time.
So Kirsten, you're on council now, huh?
Well, I'm elect
Yeah, soon to be on council. That's exciting.
starting in January.
That's exciting. I think you'll enjoy it.
Well, I hope so. We have a good group. I think we have a lot of good people.
Yep.
But it's definitely going to be a busy month.
January.
Well, this month too, with the holidays coming up, and also, we're being asked to do orientation things, and plus we have something else going on right now, which we'll talk about today. So there's just a lot of meetings this month.
Are you going to attend like local government academy or anything like that?
I'm going to go to the local government. Yeah, actually, all of our new electeds will be going to the local government academy.
That's cool. That's good.
I've heard really good things about it.
Yeah, it's good. It's a good program.
That's going to be my weekends for the next 3 months.
In some ways, I think it's too much information, but probably, I almost wish like you could be on council for a year and then do that. You'd probably get more out of it, but it's just an overload of information. But a lot of good resources, a lot of good networking.
Mm-hmm. Did you do it also?
Yeah, I did. Well, I ran that. I ran LGA for 2 years.
Oh, okay.
So I did it several times. And I don't think they've changed it much. The class structure looks about the same. More webinars though, because of COVID. So kind of a hybrid now.
Which is kind of nice because they're having their sessions in Monroeville.
Yeah, they're all over the place.
It's like really far away. I mean, all of them are in Monroeville.
Oh, I didn't notice it. When I did it, we did Cranberry, we did downtown, we did Carnegie a lot. We did get Monroeville once. It was everywhere.
Yeah, they're doing the kickoff in Green Tree, but then all of the other in-person sessions are in Monroeville. So it's nice that there's at least some that are online.
Yeah.
Because that's a long way to drive on a weekday with traffic.
It's, that's kind of where I'm at now. And lots of traffic. There's actually not a lot of traffic. I think Thanksgiving kind of starting to show its, people are starting to not work, I guess.
It seems like a good place to be this week. I'm not at that place. I'm still working, but
Yeah, me too.
be nice to have the whole week of Thanksgiving off. So it's 6:35. We have everyone from Ingram. Maybe I'll just text because I thought Eric was coming tonight and Rich didn't say that he wasn't. So maybe we'll just send them a text and see if they're still planning to join us.
Yeah, Aaron, if you don't mind, if you could text Joe, obviously I can't do it. But,
He's on, he's joined.
oh, okay.
I know you don't have video, but he's joined. Yeah,
plus,
Ingram is 100% represented now.
on my little iPhone, I can only see 3 of them. So
And Lydia, I see you're starting to take notes. Do you mind doing that
No, not at all.
throughout the meeting?
Yeah, no problem.
Well, what do you guys think? Should we go ahead and start? Because it's 6:37.
Yeah, let's start. And if Rich and Eric can jump on the,
I texted them, so we'll see if they join us. But should we go ahead and do a call to order? It's 6:37.
so
I can go ahead and share my screen so we can see the agenda. And Lydia has already been doing the written roll call, but we'll go ahead and state that for the record. Do a roll call. You can read yourself off in the order you're on the screen. Who's here? Jim?
looks like you're muted, Jim.
Oh, we can't hear him. It does say you're unmuted, but we can't hear you. Jim is here and it looks like he's saying he's here, but we still can't hear you. So we'll take that down and see if you can get some sound. Aaron?
I'm here.
Greg?
I am here.
Kirsten Compatello, I am here.
And Lydia Herring's here.
All right, and we're just doing roll call. Rich, I see you just joined. Do you want to let us know you're here? Rich, can you speak up for roll call?
Yes, I'm here. You hear me now?
Yep, we got you.
All right, thank you.
All right, well, we have no citizens on the line right now. So that's the next item on our agenda is citizen comments, and there is no one here at the moment. So we can move on to the next item, which is Ingram Borough updates, unless you guys would prefer that we wait a few more minutes. Would you like that we hold on that?
No, we can go.
Okay,
We'll go now. I guess that would be me. I don't have a lot of updates. We actually did not have our last meeting because there was lack of attendance. So really no updates. So I guess that's it. No updates. I've been thinking about what we should focus on. We've had 4 meetings this year scheduled. I feel like we didn't get a whole lot done. We had the pedestrian plan going on. That was not necessarily happening during the meetings, but everyone participated when they had an opportunity. So that was good for this year. I'm already thinking about next year. I would like to try to find a focus for the 3 of us, and probably not going to advertise like I did last year, if that's okay with the planning commission. Rather just schedule it as we have things to maybe discuss publicly. I mean, we'll still advertise when we meet, of course, legally, but until we have a focus, I don't know if there's any point in meeting just to meet. So my only thoughts about the focus was the exercise that Crafton did, and I forget what you called it. I haven't done it in a while, but it was the idea of looking through the community and finding what I'll call like low-level improvements, that don't really involve a lot of resources or finances, and try to gather those and take those improvements to council. We talked about wayfinding and signage, like improving or the entrances to the borough. We talked that as a joint commission. We talked about that. Those are the kind of things I'm thinking of. Is where can we add lighting, or where can we add beautification or wayfinding to bring the council to try to find some funding in order to make improvements. So I think that's realistic for us. My big hope is that I'll start working on zoning next year. So I will say that council, we went through our draft budget we're going to adopt in December, and the $25,000 is in there still for the next year. So our council's still very committed. If we don't get the grant, we're still willing to spend that $25,000 if we can find a use for it for zoning, which could go a long way really with a little bit of Crafton money. So even if it means we don't maybe redo the entire zoning, we can start to, as a commission and as a joint commission, start picking through it and finding areas where we could do some spot improvements throughout the ordinances. So those are my thoughts right now. I really want to find a focus. I don't want to waste anybody's time. I don't want to meet just to meet. There's not a whole lot of development going on in Ingram, so planning in general isn't very active to begin with. But I think we still have obviously I want to continue the joint meetings also. So that's really it. Those are my thoughts. I don't know if Jim or Aaron want to add anything.
Jim and Aaron, do you guys have anything to add?
I don't have anything to add at this moment.
Hey, Jim, we can't hear Jim, so
We don't hear his audio.
he'll let us know, though. I'm sure he'll send out an email.
Actually, Greg, do you know anything about Ingram School and that sale?
Don't. It was. I don't. I haven't heard much about it in general. I'm probably not asking questions, but I know they went. They went through the zoning process. It really should have maybe gone through the planning commission, but it didn't. But I know they went through all the zoning approvals. So that's all I really know at this point. I
was
still
just
hear
curious.
it's going to be relatively high end, condominiums, I think, or maybe apartments. That's it. Our solicitor, it came up actually at our last meeting. He doesn't know anything either. There's been no movement.
Do you want to continue the quarterly joint meetings on the same schedule next year that we did this year? Or quarterly, we did, I'll have to, actually should have looked at the schedule, but I think it was, let's see, we did November, September, we just back into it, June, and then March. So our next quarterly one would be in March. And I'm pretty sure that's what we did this year.
Yeah, I thought it worked. Me personally thought it worked out well. I would like to continue.
Do we want to go ahead and just set those dates?
Yeah, I think that's a good idea.
Sure.
Mhm.
I also want to continue the eco district discussion and, moving forward with that. I forgot to say that earlier, but I just want to throw that in.
Yeah, I know we're interested in continuing that too. And if we just go back to what we discussed at our last joint meeting, we wanted to make sure we moved forward with the zoning first, or at least we see what that next step is going to be. And assuming we're going forward with the zoning, then, do that process and have the eco district kind of be initiated through it with some community awareness, but not really get into it until afterwards. So we're not trying to do too much at the same time and confuse people, but start to knit it into the zoning. So we're at least starting to build some ideas and awareness of a process to come. If we look at 2022, we did every 3 months, with November being a little earlier to avoid the December holidays. We started in March in 2021. So if we do that in 2022, that would be Tuesday, March 22nd. And then in June, it would be Tuesday, March 28th, or June 28th, sorry. June 28th, 1, 2, 3, and then September 27. And then if we do November again, do we want to do the 4th Tuesday and have it be the Tuesday before Thanksgiving? Does that work for everybody, or would we rather try a different date?
It doesn't matter to me. Thanksgiving
would
for me
be-
doesn't really kick until Thanksgiving, so.
That would be the 4th Tuesday would be November 22nd, and it would be just like this year, it would be the Tuesday before Thanksgiving.
Do we want to try for the 5th Tuesday of November?
Would that be better for anyone? Do you all have preferences?
It doesn't matter to me.
Doesn't matter to me.
Lydia, do you have a preference?
I can do either. I was just thinking 2 of our people aren't here, and maybe
For me.
it's, oh, sorry. Well, yeah, Colton.
I
and
mean,
Eric
we're missing
aren't here.
Colton and Eric.
So I didn't know if it was because of Thanksgiving or just because of other things that popped up. But there are 5 Tuesdays in November next year, which is kind
For
of cool.
Colton, it's a council conflict tonight. They had a special meeting scheduled.
Oh, okay.
For Eric, I'm not sure because I thought he was going to attend.
Well, we could play it safe and just avoid the holiday. That would be fine.
Yeah, I think the only issue is just confusing people. It's not the regular
Mhm.
4th Tuesday, so that's the fear of moving it. The only downside I see in it.
What if we just say the 22nd?
But the.
We have time to change it. We can, put an email out to the others to verify that. My concern also is that sometimes councils have meetings on alternating Tuesdays,
Yeah, that's true.
or other committees do. We also, on Crafton Council, we are continuing to be virtual, obviously, for now. I'm not sure when that will change, but we don't I don't think intend to change it just yet. And so we'll assume that we're going to continue to be virtual, and we'll let you know if that has changed by our next meeting.
Right. Hey,
Yeah, Rich, did you have something?
I was just agreeing with you.
Okay. Yeah, so we'll just keep it as the fourth Tuesday of each of those months for now. But we'll double check with our other members and see if that needs to be changed for any reason. Does 6:30 work for you all still?
Yes.
Yes.
Works for me.
Works for me. Can you hear that?
Yes, we can hear you.
Oh,
Excellent.
thank you. I went through so many different things.
Well, and we're still on the Ingram Borough update. So Jim, now that you have audio, do you have anything to add?
No, Kirsten, I'm fine with what's been discussed.
Okay.
Thank you.
Well, I think we'll go on to our next item then, which is the zoning update. And Lydia, you've been our contact with Nick and DCED. So do you want to give us a status update on
Sure.
the
Yeah.
zoning grant?
Unfortunately, I don't have much news. I had talked with Nick Mackerth at the end of September and was told that we have a very, very good chance of getting the MAP grant funding. The timeline was about the end of October, but that has come and gone. We're now toward the end of November with no news. I did leave Nick a voicemail on both his desk phone and cell phone. I wasn't sure if he was working from home, but that was just this afternoon. So with the holiday coming up, I don't expect to hear this week, but I can follow up after Thanksgiving again if I don't get receive a call back.
But we're still on the list. That's good news.
Yeah, we haven't heard a no. So
Right.
and the last conversation I had with him was really positive. I just don't know if something changed. I don't know how their funding cycles work. It was supposed to be in the fall time frame, and now we're kind of entering winter. So hopefully it's still out there.
Yeah, we haven't heard anything negative. That's a little odd that it's taking so long, but I know this has been a weird year for everyone, and there's backlog everywhere. So
Yes.
maybe that's just the issue. They're just still working through things.
Right.
Lydia, you did, I don't know if you want to talk at all about this, but you did put together some zoning terms and an awareness flyer that we published in our Crafton newsletter. We were hoping to move to the next stage of that and start, thinking about a little bit of additional awareness that we could put out, break some of those terms and concepts, just introducing, what zoning is and what the value is and how it impacts our communities, and giving people some general information about what we're doing and how they can participate. We were hoping to be doing that, from now and through the winter, assuming we were going to be kicking off the zoning. I don't know if you want to talk more about that now, or if we want to come back to that once we know that we are actually kicking off the zoning. But that was one of the items on our agenda to think about the next steps.
Right. I think by now we were hoping to know whether we were receiving grant funding. I don't know what our budget looks like. Does Crafton's budget include money for the MAP, for the zoning ordinance update, regardless of the MAP grant funding? Does anybody know? Either Rich or Kirsten?
I didn't look at that specifically, but I was told previously that we did, and I can check somewhere around here. I have our 20-page long budget. But
Go ahead.
we can afford it.
Yes, we can.
So we can make it happen whether it was specifically earmarked or not.
Right.
And we'd be looking at many new council members too. So if there's a will to do it with the new council members, then
The budget
I
is
don't
gonna
see-
allow it.
Yeah, the
But that
budget
was-
certainly allows it. I do believe it
Right.
is specifically earmarked, but if it's not, then it's in a bucket for general.
Right. So I don't see any reason not to move forward with that if
Mhm.
the project will move forward. The only concern was just if we wouldn't want to start that if then it was dead in the water, depending on the MAP grant. So I'm I didn't prepare any new, Facebook posts or anything. I don't have anything as far as a backlog, but I think we can work off of what I had prepared for the flyer and kind of maybe trim it down so they're bite-sized zoning concepts with some images and a definition maybe, and start kind of disseminating that information through social media, and then also probably Savvy Citizen if we think that it makes sense.
I think that Crafton has the budget and the support to go forward with this, even though we are changing our council substantially. I think it's pretty safe to say that we'll have the support to go forward with it, with or without the grant. So, the Crafton Ingram communities can hopefully be kicking that off very soon.
So why don't I
there's-
just put it as an action item to put together some of the first concepts and send them around for people's feedback?
Sure. Or we could, do that as more of a planning commission work session next month if you want. It certainly wasn't our expectation that they would be ready for this meeting, but I think we had thought that we might be talking through
Right.
what the next steps would be and starting to allocate those out to people this month. And since we don't actually have the grant results yet, I'm not sure if it's worth spending our time on that tonight or if we just kind of started on our own and talk through it more next month. But I guess for Ingram's awareness, Lydia did put together a flyer that was put in our Crafton newsletter, and we will be building on that flyer and kind of splitting it up into some social media posts that I would assume we'd be happy to share once
yeah,
this starts.
I did notice in the newsletter it was formatted and worded slightly differently than we had submitted it. I don't know how that came to be, but if somebody needs to review it or edit it before we send it out on behalf of the borough or behalf of the planning commission, then we can certainly loop that person in.
Mhm. Well, do you want to talk about that more this time, or do you want to just, we'll work on that on our own time and maybe talk about it more at our next meeting?
Yes.
Or, if or when we have the go to move forward on the zoning project, because I know we didn't want to roll out too much
Right,
about zoning if nothing was going to be happening soon. We didn't want to confuse people.
right. I mean, there's one last meeting for the year on the Crafton side. I guess, so while we have Ingram here, it probably makes sense to ask how and if Ingram wants to do this in parallel. So does Ingram have like a Facebook page or anything? Your borough website's up and running now. Would you want to do a social media campaign in parallel with the same information posted?
Yeah, I think that would be fantastic.
Okay.
We do have a Facebook page. It's kind of informally run by Karen Dixon. It's not really our official page. So that's always been a little confusing, but it gets great results. She monitors it. So yeah, that would be great.
Okay. You said Karen Dixon?
Yeah, she's a councilwoman.
Can you spell, is it CKSON or X?
Well,
I have her email.
Yeah,
tonight.
so in.
I can get you her email, Lydia. And this certainly doesn't have to be all on you either. We
Yeah.
can work together on it. But that was our idea. Once we know that we're moving forward with zoning, we wanted to have some informative posts and some social media posts that would let people know what's going on, and also, just some basic information about what it means, what the value is, get them, do a little bit of public awareness and get people engaged and interested before it gets too far along. To kind of, build, we know that the consultant will be doing public outreach as well, but that tends to always lag after the start of the project. We want to start it nice and early.
Okay, so I think, I don't know if we should discuss content right now. I mean, we could pull up the flyer I created. That's the only launch point I'd have to discuss right now. Or I could go run in the other room and get my newsletter.
Do you all want to spend some time on that now, or do we want to wait until we know we're moving forward? Because I can pull it up too.
I'm fine either way. I'll be here next meeting, but Ingram won't be. So I guess it falls on Ingram. What you think?
Can you hear me?
Mm-hmm.
Yes.
I think I would rather wait until we know what we're gonna do with zoning.
Okay.
But if you need help developing anything, let us know, because we can
Okay.
help do that.
Yeah, sounds good.
I mean, I
Maybe
think
what-
that's a great idea.
Maybe what we could do is send this to you guys. This is the newsletter that, or the flyer that Lydia previously developed that was shared with our newsletter. And then you can take a look at this, and you can also, all of you, and we should do this on the Crafton side as well, just continue thinking about what information on this we'd like to break into social media posts, and or if there's anything additional that we'd like to add or develop that would help get people interested and address some of the major questions that we anticipate people will have. And we can
Yeah.
just kind of consider that, something to think about over the next month or two until we meet again.
Yeah, that's great. Hey, I'm gonna jump. So for some reason, when I unplug my car speaker out of my phone, I can't hear anything on the phone. So I'm gonna log off. I'm home, so I'm gonna log off and go onto my laptop. So give me like 5 minutes. I'll just log back in.
Okay.
All right.
See you in 5.
All right, well, is there anything else on zoning that we want to talk about now? Or do we want to go on to our next agenda item? Crafton has another agenda item to update people on.
Ready to move on?
Okay. Well, I called this on the agenda, the Parks Master Plan update, because that is what it has been referred to in the past. But our very first update on this is that it is not actually a Parks Master Plan. We've had a lot of confusion actually with our steering committee. So and with where the project was going. So we did address some of those questions. Crafton is engaged right now in a master site plan project, which is, I think, what we will call it in what we will refer to it as in all of our agendas and minutes in the future. We are doing a master site plan planning project. And what that is it's a conceptual site plans for all of our park spaces. There are 7 park spaces. But we had previously talked about it as, and it had been referred to on council also as a parks plan, and it's really not, because that would look at potential additions and connections between things. And this is a little bit more targeted. Crafton has 4 parks, and it has 3 additional spaces that the borough owns that we're looking at potentially programming or investing in as future park spaces. So we have a site plan project right now where we have a planning consultant that is doing conceptual plans for those 4 parks and 3 additional parcels that the borough owns. That all is funded by DCNR. It was a joint grant. DCNR gave us a 50% match. That started in the summer, kicked off in August.
Kirsten, can you still hear me?
Yes,
It's funded by CNR.
DCNR,
Oh,
the
D,
Department of
Yeah.
Conservation.
and Natural Resources.
and
Yes, that does it.
pardon my ignorance. What that state, federal,
I'm sorry, I didn't catch that.
what is that state? Federal,
It's state.
state, Department of Conservation
Mhm.
and,
And natural resources.
okay. And you applied for that?
We applied for it. We were actually contacted by DCNR and told that and it was suggested to us that we apply. This came out of the Crafton Ingram Thrive Comprehensive Plan and out of our 2012 Parks Plan.
Okay,
In both of those planning processes, and specifically in the 2012 Parks Plan that Crafton did, there were recommendations for park updates and park expansions. And in that 2012 Parks Plan, there were recommendations to look at specific sites. And one of those action items in that 2012 plan was to look at these 3 specific sites, and actually 2 specific sites, and then one that has come on into play since. But DCNR funded that project in 2012. And so they said that they would provide additional funding to implement that action item of doing the site plans.
congratulations.
One of the first steps. So they contacted us and told us that we were still eligible for that next step of funding to implement an action item from our 2012 plan. And Crafton Borough obviously thought that was worth pursuing. And so we submitted the application for that grant funding this year and got a 50% match. So they funded 50% and Crafton Borough put in another 50%. And then Crafton Borough also added some additional funding beyond that to add the new site that had since become available since that 2012 plan, which is the public works site. So this site plan is looking at our 4 existing parks and 3 additional parcels that Crafton Borough owns, which is our public works site, a site along the creek, which is known as the Duncan site, and is being referred to through this planning process as Creekside property. And then also the Chartiers Trail, there's a portion of that that is included.
So where are you with the project now? Are you in
So-
implementation or still planning?
We are still in the planning phase. So it kicked off in August with a steering committee. Steering committee was formed that includes members of the public, several members of council, 2 members of the planning commission, some representatives from the Parks and Recreation Committee. And they did open it by application to members of the public. We have had 4 steering committee meetings, August, September, October, and November. There was some confusion about the project scope. There was some frustration that this committee and has talked about in our past meetings, and other members had also discussed. And so we had planned to have a public survey and public events in November, and those have shifted to December, just to give us all time to get really good clarity on what the project scope was going to be and what the consultant was proposing. But as of now, our public survey has just gone live when it became open on Saturday, this past Saturday. So Crafton is running a public survey about our parks usage and how people use them, and also a level of awareness into those 3 additional properties that the borough owns. And that survey will remain open until December 17. We've been promoting it. It's been on Facebook, it's been on Savvy Citizen. There are also flyers and posters that are going to be going up around the borough, into our parks. Our steering committee is taking on a lot of responsibility for doing that. And the borough is doing the mounting of posters and all of the printing and all of the promotions. Most of that is being done by the borough and by the steering committee members. We don't have any members of the public here today. We could have answered questions. And for the Planning Commission, especially for Planning Commission, the Crafton Planning Commission, I will send all of you the flyers that were provided to us, so that we can share them on our, we don't have a Crafton Planning Commission Facebook page, and it's already been shared on the Facebook pages that I've seen, but we as Planning Commission can continue to share those and post those if there are other places we would like to share them. So I will share with all of you the poster that was just created, and there's actually an update that's supposed to be coming by tomorrow. So I'll share it once the update is issued.
Let me ask this. Did this start back in 2012?
It did in some ways, yeah. All of this is coming out of a 2012 Parks Plan that was done.
I asked that because, given my lack of experience in these types of projects, that's a long time.
I wasn't involved back then, but it sounds like we could have done this. We could have qualified for this funding sooner, and no one thought of it. And DCNR did us the favor last year of telling us that we could go for the grant in this year's cycle, and that we qualified for it. But we probably could have qualified for it sooner if we'd gone for it sooner.
Well, all these, given my background in working with foundations and funding organizations, they're required, as both you and Lydia know, to spend X amount of their dollars each year. And you would think that they would be promoting that to you to get it done as quickly as possible.
Yeah, it sounds like that's what they did this year or last year, in advance of the grant cycle that was in the early spring of 2021. They knew that they had extra funds to spend, and they reached out to Crafton and said, guys, you should go after this because you'll get it and we have the money to give you.
I'm just surprised that it took them so long to do it.
Mhm.
Anyway. Well, thank you for the explanation. It's very informative. Thank
We're
you.
doing it now. We're doing our site plan. 7 site plans, which is unusual, apparently. It's unusual that DCNR funds site plans through this grant for more than 1 or 2 park spaces at a time, and Crafton is doing it for 7 park spaces, which I think is partly why it's taking us so long, because we have quite a lot to talk about. And it's a 6-month project cycle. So the goal is to have the report done in January so that we can then qualify for the next step of grant funding through DCNR to implement what comes out of this project. Their grant cycle will be in the early spring of 2022.
Well,
So
good for you
we're trying to
guys.
have this-
Stay after it. Good for you.
We're trying to have this report done by end of January so it can be reviewed, approved, adopted by council, and fully in place by March of 2022. So that then we can, have that done in time for the spring grant cycle.
Good job. I see Greg.
I'm here.
One question, Kirsten. So for the spring grant
Hey,
cycles,
Greg.
for what add-on funding? Or
For,
what-
for more funding to start implementing any of the recommendations that come out of this current site plan.
Okay.
Right, so our survey, public survey is live. It'll be open until December 17th. We are planning a public meeting on December 11th. That'll be held at Crafton Park. The exact location is still being finalized. That's why the flyer won't be reissued until probably tomorrow. The consultant is supposed to be just verifying the availability of the space we talked about. We had our steering committee meeting yesterday to finalize what location and date we wanted to do this. So the idea is that it will be at the bandstand in Crafton Park. And they're just verifying availability of that space on that date, and should be reissuing a new flyer that has the date and location on it. The previous draft just had a to be announced.
Yeah,
That'll be held from 10, sorry, Eric, let me just finish that. It'll be held from
finish
10 to
that thought.
12
Yeah, please. Yeah, yeah.
on
there you
December
go.
11th. Public meeting. But Eric, glad you joined us. We were just getting into giving an overview of what we're doing with our site plan, that it is, we're going to start referring to it by its official name of master site plan. And then Ingram hadn't been aware of this project before, so we gave them an overview of what the project is and how it was funded.
I just deeply apologize. Kids in life. Yeah, I didn't have this on my calendar for whatever reason. And even though we spoke about it last night. So yes, so my sincerest apologies, but I just want to say, Greg, I know you stepped away, but is there any way, the Crafton park system is not, permit controlled, you know what I mean? It's not, we have lots of Ingram residents that participate in park activities and whatnot. So I would hope that we could find a way to share that survey with the residents of Ingram. We didn't really talk about this in the parks planning process, but Crafton, Ingram, Thornburg all have a role in how the parks are utilized. So I don't know if there's anything that any mechanism you have, your Facebook page, or I don't know if you have one, but other places to share that. I don't know if it's something worth discussing.
Whether we should share it outside of Crafton was not something that we talked about, the steering
Right.
committee. But it's also, it's an online survey. There's no geographic limit. The first question is, do you live in Crafton? And if not, where do you live? So there is an opening question that, very easily allows people to say that if they live in Ingram or Thornburg or elsewhere.
Yeah, it just seems to make sense that we, you know, our instructions from the consultant and the council were, you know, share it with our networks, and clearly you guys are the network, right? So if there's any, I don't know, we can send you the link. Greg, what do you think? Is there any way to promote that in Ingram? You guys have any,
What? Sure. Sure.
right? All right. We can get you a survey link.
Can we bring it up here? I'll just show, I will send this out afterwards. I mean, ideally, I was hoping to share it with the planning commission once the date and location were properly updated. And I haven't actually checked my email today to see if it came through or not. I don't think the ones I saw were updated with the location, but I came to this meeting straight from work, so.
I took the survey this afternoon and it just said that the date and time of the public meeting were forthcoming.
They may
at the end
still
of the
be, I
survey,
mean,
so.
it may still take another day or two to just verify the availability. So I don't know if they've issued an update that actually confirms the meeting will be on December 11th at the Crafton Park. But it will be on December 11th. The idea is it will be at Crafton Park. You guys probably can't see the screen I just shared.
Mm-mm.
There we go.
Yes,
There it is.
beautiful.
Our backup site would be at the community center. In the case of poor weather, or if for any reason the bandstand is not available on that date, but we anticipate it'll be at the bandstand at Crafton Park.
It's a really cute flyer.
Mhm.
Consultant's done a nice job with it. Which is good for us because apparently we'll be working with these guys for a little while.
Oh, look, they did send it, came in today.
There you
So
go.
December 11, 10 to 12 at the Crafton Park band shell. So I can send that to everyone for Crafton and Ingram planning commissions, and you guys can all circulate it or post it as you see fit.
Great.
Oh, great. I was just looking for Greg's email address. Saves me the step. Thank you.
I'll send it out after this.
Cool beans.
Our steering committee, if we want to, Eric, you can help me here with this one. We can give an update on what our steering committee has been talking about. We've had 4 meetings. Some of them, like our third meeting was really just let's get ourselves clear because there was a lot of confusion. But our 4th meeting, which was yesterday and went a lot longer than we'd anticipated, but was also a lot of fun. We looked at all of the 7 sites and talked through ideas and, you know, programming concepts and various levels of investment that could happen in all of them. For the public meeting itself, there will still be a lot of flexibility. Nothing is decided yet. The consultant has prepared plans that they'll be sharing. They've been told to expect people may be frustrated by that, but they can follow the process they want. They'll be sharing plans for each of the 7 sites and be soliciting feedback. But our steering committee, which is a sizable steering committee, spent about 3 hours yesterday talking through the 7 sites and ideas for them and kind of refining how much we thought was a good idea to show and which things we thought were absolutely not a good idea to show. And at that public meeting, we'll really be talking about giving everybody an image of each of the 7 sites, some ideas to respond to, and then lots of opportunities to give additional thoughts or ideas and say, no, I don't like this at all, and give, you know, alternate ideas. There will be a lot of opportunity to talk about programming. Right now, we have mostly talked about lots of ideas for programming. We've all had lots of ideas, but we've really only focused on coming to any agreement on basically, which things are kind of fixed, which things do we think are most likely to stay, and which things are priorities to talk about. The community will have a chance to weigh in on all of that. Go ahead, Eric.
Oh, I was just gonna dovetail on that. It's a splendid discovery of it. The reality is, this thing is really aimed at DCNR, right? Because they're the big grant maker. Full stop. Like there's other grant makers, but they're the big one for any kinds of funds that we might pursue. And so the site plans really are, when you break down it took me a long time to really understand what all the consultant speak was and what all the, this is really about, you need to have a Waffle House straw man plan, kind of set in stone, but not really, around the things that you want to invest in. Like we got stuck on, basketball nets, that kind of stuff, and maintenance issues. We got stuck on that. And that log jam got cleared. Council got involved, people got involved. Kirsten was a big player in getting involved and getting this thing on the right, back on the rails, because at the end of the day, the site plan is, what you'd like to invest in as a community. And understanding the context of investment is pretty difficult, right? Because there's no, money just doesn't rain. Even grants have matching, so what do it's not free money, but if you had money that was more money than you had and you had to match it, what would you choose to do with it? What's your plan? If you don't have this, they don't invest in you because you haven't done the work. You got to be shovel ready. You got to have a dream. You got to have an aspiration, and all of that needs to be underlined by community input. So we're having this event, December 11th. We're having this event, but it's really, it's a process, not just a destination. It's a journey. So what we're trying to do is we're trying to filter our way through. You put a picture of Kennywood Park in Crafton Park, and people say, "Oh heck yeah!" Right? But you can't fund it. You can't make it. You can't sustain it. Right? So we can dream big. We can have giant aspirations, but we have to tamp them down a little bit into what's reasonable and what's expectable and what's plannable. So
we can also have big dreams too, but you are right.
Sure.
What we're trying to
Kennywood too far, but
what we're trying to do here is what we have the opportunity, and what this project is designed to do is to get not final plans, but concept plans that give us enough basis to then go back to DCNR in 2022 and say, all right, now here's a project that's been somewhat vetted, somewhat thought out. Now give us money to do a final plan and implementation for it. And that's what they're looking for. And that's what they are prepared to do too. If we do this right and we give them a properly, we give them a report that has community input and has concept plans that fit their
properly
DCNR
thought
expectations.
through. Yeah, I
That
would
fit their
define fit as
expectations.
properly thought through. That's right. Totally agree.
We've been told there are some things that they will be looking for and some things they don't care about. So we know that our fields have to be oriented the way that they will approve. We have to have ADA parking if we want them to approve it.
Kirsten, please pause on that. Pause on that, right? Fields need to be oriented. So if we have a dream or an aspiration to have a football field, that football field has to be positioned and oriented. That's what you just said, in such a way that the sunlight isn't a problem. And I was like, oh, what the, I don't live in this.
I mean,
I-
bottom line, they're only going to fund it if they think it's a good idea. So we have these
Right.
constraints. We've been told these are the things they're looking for. And that's what we're trying to aim for and fit, our community visions into that, but also make sure that we're giving them projects in this report that they will be willing to fund. We can have things in there that they're not going to fund, but we've got to have at least some things in there that they will fund, because that's why we're doing this.
I was just blown away by the orientation concept. It never crossed my mind. But as a hitter on a baseball diamond, you cannot have that baseball diamond oriented into, at any point of the day, the sun. Because if that ball's coming at you, even a junior slugger throws a 70-mile-an-hour fastball, that's going to hit you square in the face if you can't see it. Right? The level of detail in that, I was blown. I'm just mystified by it. I'm blown away by it. Makes all the sense in the world, but that's the kinds of thing that they want to see. Like, we looked at a space down in the Chartiers Valley where we could stick 3 fields into. Looks really nice on paper, and a consultant was such a great benefit in having that. They're like, you can't fund this. Looks great, fits square, but you could never get this funded. Unlikely you could ever get this funded because it was, the direction of the fields had a problem with the sunshine. And I just, like I said, I was blown away by the level of thought that's in the DCNR process. And they don't nitpick. Like, that's like it's a real thing. And I'm sure that it's happened in some certain places that it's, detrimental, and probably bad things have happened. But I really like the fact that we have somebody on board that's helping us shape what we can ask for in a way that will get approved.
I think it's cool that the grant funding process, it's obviously not as easy as just opening our coffers and paying to do whatever we want to do. But in a lot of ways, it gives you that double check to make sure whatever you're planning is actually a good idea, that it's really vetted. It forces that public engagement process. It forces the double check of the agency, and they check for all these things you might not think about. The 7 people on council might not think about when they're signing the,
Yeah,
And I think this
the
is
proposal.
why the steering committee, but also, this planning commission, since we're talking about it, and hopefully the other committees, the Parks and Rec committee, hopefully are also talking about this, and being prepared to explain this to other community members as well, because issues like that, like the orientation of the fields, I feel like that's not, it certainly wasn't labeled on the diagram. And I don't know if they're going to change that for the public meeting, but if things like that aren't really clear on the diagrams, we're going to continue getting people saying, well, why can't we have 3 and not 2? What if why'd you skew them that way and you're using space not very efficiently? Why can't we skew them back and have 3 fields? I think that's what we need to be prepared to do. We need to be prepared to help people understand that the reason for this, and be a champion for the planning process and for what we're trying to achieve through this.
I think from the Ingram perspective, there's a hand in this that's pretty important. And that's CIT. It's not a million kids that live in Crafton. It's not a million kids that live in Ingram. There's not a million kids that live in Thornburg. But at the end of the day, these kids come together and they play ball. And there's been I think there's a lot of naysayers in the community, and the fact that community involvement in athletics and organized sports is down.
Can we just be clear though, CIT Fields is not a borough-owned property. It's not one of the sites.
No,
this is looking
no,
at.
that's not what I'm saying. What I'm saying is any sort of development that would happen with a Crafton Park system in that valley would add value to the CIT system that's already there, a CIT site that's already there. I just think that I think there's a really good opportunity for Ingram residents to kind of weigh in a little bit, you know, because look, I don't know if you're a baseball parent or not, Craig, James, Aaron. I don't know if you are. I don't know, but I will tell you that as a baseball parent, sure would be nice to have something else to do when your kid is at baseball practice, because yeah, you got to be there, but oh man, it is watching paint dry. I love my kids, but it's watching paint dry. So the more that's available there, the more it's of benefit there. Seems like a good thing. And yeah, I'm selling the dream of having a park system from Crafton in the valley. I make
Yes,
no bones about my agenda. I think that it's a good thing since I proposed it a couple of years ago. But I think that there is a real benefit to the valley community beyond Crafton, and it doesn't have to be on the backs of Crafton taxpayers, because there's grants to help us get there. But we need to hear from the community to say this stuff's a good idea. You know, that's what we're talking about, and that's what we're trying to get people out for on December 11th at 10 a.m. We're trying to get people to stop by and say, you know what, boy, that'd be great. I go to CIT all the time. Sure would be nice if there was a place to take a walk. You know, sure would be nice. That's what we're looking for. We're looking for
Well,
feedback like
certainly
that.
know that a lot of Ingram residents do use Crafton Park and the pool too. And that is one of the sites that is definitely in play here. We're looking at all the Crafton Park and the pool, and all the facilities that are located in that area. For the record, you know, Eric, that I have a different take on the wisdom of putting massive athletic fields that people have to drive to on the back of the
Sure.
community with no good road system to get there. But we all have opinions, and everyone is invited to come share their opinion on December 11th.
I
As
think,
well
I
as
think,
the survey.
I think we're in agreement on the fact that there's no good road system to get there, for sure. That needs to be, you know, that means must definitely, anything that happens down there must definitely be on the backs of improved transit into that region.
And then
The
the
parcel-
Chartiers,
Sorry, just a question. The parcel you're talking about, Eric, is is referred to as the Creekside parcel, right? That's the
Public
one that's
Works.
adjacent.
Public Works.
It's a good point. Yeah, Lydia. Yeah, Kirsten, you can go ahead.
The one that Eric is talking about is the Public Works site. There is another site. There are 3 sites that are the non-current park but borough-owned sites that we're looking at, which is the Public Works site, the consultants' work, the steering committee's discussions, and what is shown on December 11th. We'll be talking about more athletic and other programming on that site. There's also a Creekside parcel, which is more constrained with topography and floodplain issues. And some of the key discussions around that so far have been more trails, not fields. But of course, people can suggest whatever they like at that December 11th meeting. So far, the Creekside property has not really been looked at as appropriate for fields. And then the third one is the Chartiers Trail, which runs all the way up to the bridge towards Ingram, and leads towards Carnegie, links all the way to Carnegie, although it's not all borough owned.
It
There's
doesn't.
a portion of it that is borough owned. So the
I gotta cut you off there. There's no chance that the Crafton side of the creek connects as a trail to Carnegie, not on God's green earth, not on anybody's floodplain, not on anybody's watch. It ends full stop at Baldwick or whatever, Baldwick Road. There is no way that you can circumnavigate a trail along the riverbank on that side of it. There's businesses there. There's nothing that's there. So it is only at this point only being discussed. And this is what thank God Coletta's around. She might know the person, but it terminates right now at the Burrow yard. There is a trail that continues. Have any of you guys ever walked the Thornburg side from the old golf course? Anybody walk that trail? You go
No.
all the way up? No? You go,
I have.
so from, okay, so
Doesn't that connect to Carnegie?
it does not. It ends. So
It ends at the paintball field, doesn't it? At the paintball park?
well on the Rich, you're 100%. So here's how it works. On the side of the old Crafton golf course, right, which is in Thornburg, the Thornburg Trail goes up to the busway bridge. That's it. The busway bridge, full stop. You cannot get around it. Now, if you want to, you can go up to the railroad tracks, but I don't think that that's probably a hospitable place to send hikers, right? So it full stop, it ends there. On the Crafton side, there is a trail that continues on from what we've talked about in terms of this park planning is only about Crafton controlled property. Now, there's a caveat around the Creek Trail because the Creek Trail is actually controlled by the Army Corps of Engineers, right? There's no reason to believe by anybody, the consultant, the planners, et cetera, that why we wouldn't be able to use it as a trail, but we don't actually control it. That is a full stop dead end at this point at the Burrow yard, terminating back into the Burrow plant. There's another mile.
Here's Eric. We've already said that this is only about borough land, that there's always the opportunity that it could do more
Right.
later. That's not part of this plan. There are roads and, ways to connect to Carnegie from there along the road, but you're kind of splitting hairs here. We have already said that we're only talking about borough property.
Pretty disappointed to hear you say that, Kirsten, because that's not my point at all. My point being is that there's a significant patch of land that extends another 1.3 miles of trail that extends, that goes to the roadway that will go to the Carnegie. But my point being is that land is owned by the Chartiers Creek, let me get it right, Nature Conservancy, which we have struggled to find a point of contact with. And the reason why I bring that up in the Ingram Planning Commission meeting is Greg or anyone on this call, is anybody know anything about the Chartiers Creek Nature Conservancy?
I know nothing.
Yeah, okay.
I've never even heard of it.
So they own a big chunk of land in Ingram. Down by Amazon.
Mhm.
Yeah, they own a big piece of land there that was designated for a trail system that never materialized. They had a vision, and they got a good chunk of land to get it done, to connect all the way through McKees Rocks. You know where Sheridan Park is? I don't know if you guys have ever been down to the pool in Sheridan Park. You go down behind the pool. There's a whole trail system down there that takes you down to Chartiers Creek, and it's not quite totally accessible back up to where the bridge is to McKees Rocks, the Wind Gap Bridge, but it's pretty close. So, like I said, there was a lot of thought. I can't imagine the amount of money that was put into this by our predecessors, and I can't find them. You know what I mean? So what would it be for Ingram and Crafton and McKees Rocks what would it be for us to tout a trail system that connects the casino to Carnegie? Right? I mean, that is it's all there. I mean, like, it is literally all there, possible, easily done, not a whole bunch of, there may be a bridge, there may be a switchback bridge somewhere because of, because, like I said, because the Carnegie side and the amount of development that's over there on the riverbank. But I would love to find out who the Chartiers Creek Nature Conservancy. Their website looks pretty, but it's from like 1907. It's 100. It's like 30 years old.
Eric, I was able to find a 2002 article in the Trib, and just talking about how that conservancy was working to develop a trail along Chartiers Creek from, this is McKees Rocks to Cannonsburg Lake.
Yes.
I guess that nature
Wow.
conservancy.
Carnegie Lake. Yep.
Okay, so this is saying that DCNR gave them $27,000 in matching grants. So maybe DCNR could be our way to find out who.
To contact us.
Like, yeah, if DCNR has records of giving a match, maybe they can.
I know we looked into it a little while ago, a couple meetings ago. Eric, remember you and I were trying to contact them as we put together some ideas for the eco district. Just brainstorm document, but they don't seem to be in operation anymore. So I don't know.
The AOL address on the website doesn't seem to get a response.
I am going to ask us though to kind of, we can decide if we want to put a new item on the agenda, but we were talking about the site plan update, and this is well outside of that. And
Oh,
I will just say I'm a little meetinged out after this week. So if we want to add a new item to the agenda, you all can feel free to say if you'd like to do that, but this is not, I love talking big ideas, but this is not an update on what we're doing with the site plan, because this would be something outside of that. And,
Correct.
It's something we talked about looking into. If we go forward with an eco district idea, it was included as an item that would be
Sure,
possible
I'm good
outcome
pausing.
of an eco district.
My intent, Kirsten, was only to find out if anybody, because Coletta
Get to
knows
the
somebody.
point, Eric, come on, you want the contact.
Coletta knows somebody. If anybody on this call knows somebody, I'm just trying to find out who knows somebody, because I ain't got something worth planning around. That's some really important land. Anyway, I'll let it go. I'm gonna stop. Thanks,
You were
guys.
at that meeting last night until almost 10 o'clock too, and I'm trying to let us, have dinner tonight. We can keep talking though about this or about other, any other questions or updates we'd like to cover on the site plan, if there are any. Crafton has several months of minutes to go through. So I just want to make sure that we're not taking too much of anyone's time as we go through the agenda. So do we have anything else we want to cover on the parks, the site master plan that has been referred to as parks plan, but is not a parks plan? The other thing I did think it was worth sharing, the survey is only just opened, but we don't have results yet. And Eric, if you do have anything else that we talked about yesterday that you want to share with the group, feel free to speak up on that too. But our preliminary results on the survey, I just thought would be useful to share with the Planning Commission. The top highest item that's coming in so far is that people are interested in walking and biking. The biggest desire that was coming up were nature trails and benches. Next, it was flexible field. So field space, but not dedicated to only one specific sport. Dog park, nature park, climbing and bouldering, and accessible spaces.
Hey Ingram, you guys get dog park come up? People lobbying.
Not a whole
for-
lot. No, we've had, that cocky. What's a popular one? Yeah, not a whole lot.
We get a lot of dog park. I do, and we have in general. Seems
Well,
like
I work out in Elizabeth Township, way out there, and dog park comes up all the time. And they have a lot of land out there, but they want, obviously contained space for their dogs to run.
I can't wait for Moon's Dog Park to open. It's gonna be amazing. Unbelievable landscape. I grew up there. The
It was
reality
kind
is,
of interesting on this, that, I mean, it was just, it's a survey has only been open a few days, but the preliminary results were not, that they were really geared towards more flexible spaces and walking and nature spaces, and the, sports fields weren't coming up as the highest.
no,
They weren't even in the top 5.
for sure. You already played sports. Now, if you said you were gonna cancel Carlton Cougars, maybe that survey is different, but right now Carlton Cougars is still going.
Well, yeah, and the survey is only focused on physical spaces, amenities, facilities, improvements. It's not focused on programming.
No, I don't mean Carlton, not the program. Yeah, the district is committed that they'll stick them on a field somewhere, but if you were to tell them that they're gonna lose that park, but it's not a park, wait a minute, school district field. Anyway, listen, I'm gonna let you all go. This is silly talking about it. I think that my question around anybody know anything about Chartiers Nature Conservancy, that'd be helpful. So if you hear it in your day-to-day, ask around, people. Ask around, because I also heard that it's been privatized and that land's gonna sell. That land's gonna sell. So that little plot of land behind Amazon, that big plot of land for you guys can have for trails to promote your community, might just become an application for housing, right? So I don't know. Like it's worth poking around a bit and find out, because I think that was land that was secured in the 90s. Right? Rich, you probably remember some of that.
What's that? I'm sorry.
The Nature Conservancy, that was like popular, and it was a thing. Like it made the newspapers and that sort of thing. But that was like 20 years ago, right?
Yes, that was a while. That was a while ago. Yeah. Oh,
So we'll see if we can find that contact, and
Ask around, people. Yep, that's what I'm asking.
we have talked about how that would be that's a good reason why having some kind of joint plan, whether it's an eco district or some other mechanism that would support grants that could help us acquire land like that.
For
And
sure.
and extend trails beyond where they currently exist. It would be great, but not a part of the current project we have right now, which is constrained to what we already own. If that covers everything for that agenda item, our last 3 items are to go through our minutes from the past 3 months. We didn't have a quorum last month, and we've got a bit of a backlog. Are we all ready to go through the October minutes? For Ingram, are you guys all? You guys are all welcome to stay on as we go through this, I suppose.
Do you want to start with the September, since that was a joint meeting? And then they can leave if they don't want to stay.
Sure. Have you all had a chance to look through these on the Crafton side?
yes.
Okay. Were there any comments or changes, revisions?
None.
None.
Not on my side either.
Would we like to scroll through them on the screen so that Ingram can take a look before we vote
Please
to
do,
approve,
yes.
or- Okay,
Sure.
let me know if you'd like me to zoom in.
Nice. Boy, that's a really refreshing view. Thank you. Greg and company, this is for you guys. We've read this stuff.
Good so far. Good.
I'll leave it here. Let me know when you're ready for me to scroll further.
I'm good. I'm not sure about Jim and Aaron. Looks like Aaron took off, maybe.
Alex, we lost Aaron.
Yeah.
Let's see, we had.
Jim, we got a screenshot of Jim. Jim, you know that your camera's on? I think he stepped away.
Okay.
I'm actually not sure. Am I supposed to send the joint session minutes to both planning commissions for review?
Probably.
I did not do that, so that's my bad.
I used to at least send the final to Ingram.
Like after they're approved or for review as well?
I think I was doing it for review as well, but Debbie, I think it is. Is it
Yeah.
Debbie, Greg?
Well,
Mhm.
I think is the one that files them on the Ingram side. So the final minutes.
I would assume
Need
proper
the
governance would assume that you're maintaining your own minutes, right? I mean,
But we meet
Uh, wh-
jointly and there's only one set of minutes. So
Yeah, we have not been, not for the joint ones.
right. I mean, I think we're analysis by paralysis in Crafton, but this is, it's good stuff.
Can I send these to you, Greg, and you'll get them to the person who needs them?
Sure.
Do you want me to go to the next page?
Yeah, yep, I'm good. Wow, that's a lot of minutes.
I think Lydia took these minutes and she's very thorough.
Yeah, very.
And this was also the session where we had a presentation and discussion from Connect. So we had a lot of content.
Okay,
I think that's mostly it.
okay.
We made it to the end.
motion to approve them.
I'll second that.
All right. Here.
And
Here,
Greg,
here.
I'll send you this after this
Good.
meeting. I'm sorry, I didn't do that previously. Right, so September is approved,
Yes. Good.
okay?
So
So
that was
can I
unanimous.
just ask, this thing, I'm so sorry. Starting video, okay. So quick, in my normal life, when I don't speak, I go off video. So There you go, right? So anyway, is there any way that we can agree to use the minutes, share them with our friends in Ingram and amongst each other, and then lock them? Right? So while we're, taking notes, like start with the agenda, we take notes into the agenda and then lock them and then share that with the powers that be that needs minutes from us, PDF it or,
I
whatever.
just PDF them.
Is that what you do? Oh, okay.
Yeah.
There
And
you
in fact, I've been making PDFs of the minutes before the meeting starts so that we have the PDF as the minutes. And then the live file as the
PDF as the
agenda. I've been
agenda.
PDFing the agenda so that once the meeting starts, we can take notes into the agenda and it can become the minutes. And we
I
don't
see.
lose the agenda.
go. That's
And-
great. That's a crazy amount of detail. I think that you're awesome.
It
As
works.
always.
I think it works
There
well.
you go.
One
Yeah, that's a
one
lot.
thing to note, I did get an email from Carissima. It sounds like she needed some minutes from a few months ago. So if it would be helpful, I can go back through.
I saw that email.
Or
She hasn't updated any of the minutes in months and I've been sharing them. So I will go and make a PDF of all of the minutes from the past 10 months because none of them have been uploaded.
okay. I didn't want to not respond until I wasn't sure what happened with that. So
I was out of town when that one came in. So I didn't reply immediately, but then I looked on the website and there's 10 months that are missing and we do have the minutes. They're all here and she has access to this. So I'll just make PDFs of them all and send them all ready to put on the website.
Next month, I think we should add a little bullet point about, website operations again. I have completely failed in my efforts to get Jackie to make this easier. And maybe we should talk about specific strategies we want to ask for. So not a worry tonight. Let's finish up.
We didn't have a quorum last month, and I think the previous month we hadn't gotten the minutes together. So we'll just focus on our 3-month backlog of minutes to approve here.
Right.
Going to August. This was Crafton only. Have our Crafton planning commissioners had a chance to review and look over these minutes?
Yes,
Yeah,
motion to approve.
hang on, I just
Second.
had a question. We've been previously taking out links that don't allow the public to see, like links that take you somewhere that the public can access. So we may want to
That's true.
revise that part. And then under section 7 parking discussion, there's kind of like a sentence that trails off. It just says what other areas do under B. 7B, it's like a kind of just an incomplete sentence.
Yeah.
It's up more.
Up above.
It's under 7B. You're in 8.
All right, I just noticed the link and I
Oh,
fixed that one too. That was a question. Is that it? 7B?
yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, other areas means like other boroughs and towns.
Yeah, I think that was meant to be a
Okay.
question. Look to see what other areas do. What do other
Mhm.
areas do?
Yes.
We've been a little lax in our minutes lately. but mostly in the, more in the formatting than actually taking them. We've been good about taking them.
Mhm.
And we really set the standards for what we want to submit. I think, given that we have so many here, it's better to submit them for transparency rather than
That should be we can.
We
spend a
can,
lot
not us can.
Just fix the us that you just made to a we.
We submit a lot of minutes. Is it ever appropriate for us to ask for feedback?
I don't think there's anybody who would give
No, we
feedback.
wouldn't. Right.
Thanks.
I mean, there's like a guidance or at least a definition of meeting minutes in the municipal planning code, I think. Do you know much about that, Greg? I mean, there's some sort of, I know we
You
have
mean
to take
protocol
them,
for minutes?
just, yeah, just at least like defining it so we, I think I've just had it explained to me as you're capturing the content of the meeting. For the public
Yeah,
to
that's really
review.
it. I mean, but going back to the LGA classes we were talking about earlier, I remember long discussion about minutes. Everyone was concerned about minutes, and they are legal documents, but there's very little guidance on, what it's supposed to contain. Ingrams are always really brief, and my other municipality, Elizabeth, they put every word verbatim. It's insanity. Or I'm trying to get them to kind of kick the habit,
Mhm.
like 6 pages worth, 7 pages sometimes.
We used to do more paragraph form, and since we've been doing these in the Google document, they tend to be more bullet pointed. And I think it's important that we make sure that they're clear and that someone who's not on the commission can follow. So like Lydia said, removing any links to documents that aren't publicly shared. We have been doing that and trying to make sure that references or shorthand are adjusted so that an outside reader will be able to understand it. I think ideally we would, Rich, you're the secretary. Ideally, we would do a little bit more cleanup on them, but
Yes.
they don't need to be put into paragraph form if we're comfortable that bullet points are getting the content across. That's certainly fine.
Yes,
I think
I like this format. This makes it more concise than, I did the same thing, Greg. When I first started taking minutes, I almost did verbatim, and that was not really a readable format when you went back to try to figure out what was going on in the meeting. This bullet type thing is it's all they really need to know. It has everything in it, but they don't need to know every little sentence we said.
I think ideally we would go back through them and just update update a little bit of the grammar and clarity, and maybe fill out some sentences to help just make sure it's clear to a reader who wasn't there. But that's Rich, as secretary, you have some leeway there.
No, right. And like you said, we're not going to get any feedback on this. It just got to be general, give the general idea of what went on. Just hit everything we covered and not everything we said. So yes, I think this is the best way to go.
Are we comfortable? Would anyone like to motion to approve these minutes?
Motion to approve.
Second.
That website's good.
That's public.
Say, yeah.
Okay, so we'll approve those minutes.
Yes.
Those were our August minutes. Our August minutes are approved.
Yes.
And then our final ones that we need to approve are our October minutes. I told you guys, 3 months, get ready.
Well, I know, but October is kind
This
of.
one will go quick. This is where we didn't have a
Yeah,
quorum.
this one's motion to approve. You
I didn't
guys-
attend this one, so
Yeah, motion
nothing
to
to approve.
approve.
I wasn't at this meeting.
Yeah, this is just Eric and I.
Yeah,
Yeah.
Lydia had to deal with me
Yeah,
speaking
second.
for
I'll second
half
it.
an hour. Yeah.
okay.
Uh, does Kirsten or Rich do you guys have any questions about
No,
this?
I looked over them earlier. I had no questions.
Okay.
right, no.
Excellent. We still have no citizens on the line. The one final thing that wasn't on the agenda, but we should all verify, our next meeting is the Tuesday after Christmas. Does that work for everyone? Do we need to revisit that, or are we comfortable having a meeting? It will be on Zoom. It can be virtual from wherever you are, but it's currently scheduled for the 28th of December.
Technology
And then
makes it
Crafton.
possible. I just wish that you guys. I wish we had a calendaring system from the borough. That's all. That's all.
Yeah.
I mean, I can send invites.
I know you can. I know you can. You're awesome. You're a rock star. That's not the point. Yes, I understand.
There it is on the
Good.
Burrow calendar, but if it would be helpful, I can set up calendar invites and send everyone calendar invites.
I
Go ahead and set them up for the next year.
I wish that the borough set up calendar invites and no, Kirsten, I refuse to let you do that too. You do too much, right? You're burnt out. You aren't even on council yet and you're burnt out. I mean, seriously.
Colton,
My
we can assign
God.
that to Colton. He's not here. He can be the official scheduler.
I love you guys. I really do.
Our next meeting, December 28th. If anyone needs it moved, speak up now, or it's gonna stay as is for the time being, December 28th.
There is an event at PPG Arena that night. I don't know until that week if I'm gonna work it, but there's a chance that I will work that event. So I won't be able to make the 28th.
Awesome.
Do we want to move it, or would we like to just keep it that night? I can do that. I'll be on vacation. I'll be calling in from somewhere, but I can do that. We'll be on Zoom.
Good.
I'm fine with it.
Go ahead
Eric?
and have the event.
I
Yeah,
have
go ahead and
no-
have the meeting without me.
I have no preference. Yes.
All right. We can always reschedule it with some advance notice. This is a full month in advance. So, let me know if anyone has changes, but for now, we'll assume we are meeting on the 28th as scheduled. With that, we're through our agenda.
So before we motion to adjourn, I want to hold hostage this awesome group of people for one thing. Are we doing everything we need to on the eco district? Look, I don't want this to be a 30-minute more conversation. I just is there something that I can do between now and December, whatever? You understand what I'm saying?
Eric, I'll give my thoughts on that. Anyone else can give theirs too, but we have a set of documents that are in the shared Crafton Ingram Google Drive. It has
Yes.
that brainstorm document. It has information about what an eco district is. And we have a fair amount of work ahead of us just to spread awareness of that information, not the files themselves, because those are not publicly accessible, only shared with planning commissioners, but
Agreed.
the information in them. We have a fair amount of work ahead of us just to talk to our friends and neighbors and school and business owners and potential stakeholders. Eric, you keep talking about the Conservancy, and that's a great thing to keep working on, to try to make a contact and get a relationship with them and start spreading this, the idea of what we could do through a process like an eco district. That's going to be one of the biggest time consuming pieces of getting an eco district off the ground, is just getting people on board, and we can all be moving on that. The other piece is to get it funded. And
well, come on, it's 10 grand. I'll give you the 10 grand. Okay, seriously, this is recorded, right? I'll give you 10 grand.
well, I mean, it's way more than 10 grand to
Well,
do the process.
You read it, they're like, oh, it's $10,000.
I think it's 10,000 to register.
So here's what I'll say to you. You're about to be seated at council. This is like as well as I do that the meeting after Christmas is gonna be effed up. You know what I mean? It's not gonna be all of us. I wish Colton was here, because like we're kind of a team, you know what I mean? Pretty cool, Lydia. It's awesome to work with you. It really is. It really is. I just worry. I worry that like the concept is going to become like some sort of like combative thing. Does that make sense? And I want you guys for the next month, because we're not going to talk to each other. I'll miss you. I'll miss you all. For next month.
Eric, you're going to see us at the December 11th meeting.
You got it.
We're all going to be there.
Yeah. I love you guys. Like
We'll
seriously.
have hot chocolate. Forgot to mention
I love you. I don't do this stuff. I mean, I'm moving. Like I don't really care at some level, but stuff is fucked up. And I say that into the record with the F word out loud, because you're not being listened to. You have ideas and you have concepts, and my worry is the eco district going to be swept under the rug as one of those things? It's like, oh, we'll do it. Or is it going to be like a mission-oriented, critical thing that this commission can affect the change onto? I don't know that it can. I honestly don't know. But I would die on that hill to make sure, because everything that you have introduced me to in terms of the eco district is exactly what we need to be planning around. And I hope that it has a reception. So that's why I asked the question earlier, do we have an audience? Because I don't know that like whatever minutes we pass along, does Fred Amendola read them?
But I mean, I think
Brad?
this is I appreciate that you're
Beth,
doing
what's
this,
his name?
but I
He
also
doesn't read
think,
them.
I also think that we definitely can have an audience for this, and we can keep moving on it, and we can be talking about the concepts that we've put into our brainstorming with, even if we don't call it eco district just now to like drum up interest. But we specifically talked at our September joint meeting about not pushing on the funding front or the actual, kickoff front until after the zoning, to get, to have a phased approach there so that we aren't burning people out or confusing people. We specifically
Totally.
talked about, get the zoning first and then start working the eco district kind of as a
And
supplementary.
that feels right,
Mhm.
right? That feels right, because, we don't want to be too aggressive. I mean, let's face it, the word eco is pretty scary. I love it. I think it's great. I really do. I just wanted to, as we conclude, I'm sorry to spend an extra 10 minutes on this. I spent a lot of time worrying about it. I don't think that there's a lot of community buy-in for what we're doing.
And I think that's,
sad.
a reminder to, we can keep building that. And again, you don't even have to call it an eco district right now, or to everybody. If you don't think they're ready to hear that, we're talking about, right, building community resources and community partnerships. We're talking about things like addressing, food shortages and helping people connect seniors, helping with mobility. We had that. How long was that brain dump document? It was like 6 pages long.
Right.
We can be talking about the concrete ways that something like that could improve the community, and getting support for that, so that when we go and we get, a formal funded process to do something about it, it doesn't matter as much what the name is, because everyone is excited about what it can achieve.
Kirsten, you're about to be seated on council. I think that's the best thing I've heard in the 20 years I lived in Crafton. I mean, and I understand that wasn't a sales pitch. You just said wasn't a effing sales pitch. It's something you live and breathe, and I appreciate hearing that. I really do appreciate that, because it's not a binary thing. It's not like, oh, we need to check this box. It's not that simple. And you acknowledge that. I really think it's awesome. Way to go, kid.
Yeah, don't really know I can take that one for me, but I think we all had a lot of good ideas for that, and I think we'll definitely keep moving them forward.
You brought it though. I mean, you brought the eco district kind of. Lydia, you're not innocent in this concept, right? I mean, you two.
I didn't know anything about eco districts.
You're the effing brains in the operation. Come on, Rich, back me up, right? You two are the brains in the operation. Seriously, I mean, come on. You're brilliant. I do. I sincerely love you guys. I think you guys
keep moving forward as we can. There's only so much we can control, right? That's the perspective I try to keep. But as long as we keep putting one foot forward, and we're about to have a ton of new council people, there might be a huge appetite for this.
We'll disagree on issues over time, but the reality is, the fundamentals are there. Like, we gotta, do something. Imagine that. You gotta do something. Anyway, sorry.
All right, guys.
Thank you for clarifications.
I gotta go put a
Thank you for
toddler
the
to bed.
detail. You guys are awesome.
I told
Have a
Eric last
wonderful
night we keep this meeting short.
Oh yeah, it's short. Yeah. Don't invite me then. Don't invite me then. See you guys.
Motion to
All
adjourn.
right, shall we
Motion to
adjourn?
adjourn. Blah blah.
Seconded.
Thank you.
All right, have a
See you
good
guys.
evening, everyone.
You too.
Yeah.
Greg Butler, you're a man.
Thank you. Thank you to everybody. See you again in December.
Thanks, James.
All right.
See you guys.
Bye.